X-Men Fantastic Four. I'm not going to begin this review until you click like. Thank you. So this is how the story begins. It's a little conversation, natural conversation between Cyclops and the family. What he says here is that we don't have your kids. You guys are heroes, respect and love. And he's being very calm. He wasn't part of that crew that came over to their house. I don't think he was. He wasn't part of issue number 1, unless I'm completely mistaken. But he's the right guy, because in the beginning of House of X number 1, he was the guy who said, yeah, Sabretooth, right? All right, respect. Mazel tov, congratulations on the wedding. You guys can have Sabretooth. We'll let the process work itself out. So this is that character. And he says, you guys are heroes. We wouldn't lie. We don't have Franklin and Valeria. They're in Latveria. We don't have them too. What we do know is that we wouldn't even accept Valeria into our place. It's more so Franklin's birthright. When she hears that, she awakens. What? One of my kids is better than us? Blah, 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 blah. You guys, crush. Hangs up the call right there. No more talking. And what does she say next to her family? Is that they are a nation that think they're better than us. And then the very next thing she says is, they're not heroes. What? So you think you're better than them? Because he just announced you guys as heroes. So to say they're not heroes, in a roundabout way, you just did the opposite of what you think that they are. You think that they're people, they're a nation that thinks they're better than everyone. They're helping people for a price. Sabretooth's diplomatic immunity, Apocalypse is with them. They're not the people we once knew. They're not heroes. You just did what you said was wrong to do. I do like how it's a natural progression, though. And then, Human Torch and the Thing are going to leave Reed. I thought they left him for good, but he'll join them on the mission. If it's a contest between who's right and who's wrong, both of them are wrong. To get this far without a reasonable solution to the problem, without conflict, you guys are both wrong. Civil War 2, Civil War 1. Okay, Civil War 2, both of them were wrong. Civil War 1, Cap was completely right. But for heroes to get to fighting, you'll never get credit. But if it's a contest of who's more wrong, I'm saying the Fantastic Four are more wrong after this comic, especially with actually attacking a nation. But before that, it's we get to see that Doctor Doom actually has everyone on his island. This is his getaway island. He's put his mutants somewhere else, just like Krakoa. I don't know what he's up to, but I don't trust him. He locked up Storm and Iceman and Bishop and the rest of the Marauders team. And I can't believe... I'll save that for the last page, actually. Let's get back to this. That's the island, by the way. Let's get here. Reed Richards documented a nice graph. And I can't wait for a comic book writer to contradict this. So I didn't spend too much time studying it. There's a lot of mutants who are on Krakoa. Good. Now, while talking, they're all safe and all good. While speaking in the Quiet Council, Emma is going to say, hey, Cyclops, do you want any of this action? He says no. She smiles. If Chip Zdarsky was writing another comic book in the X-Men series, I'd probably focus on that. But I don't know if that's going anywhere. It's worth mentioning. Their whole conversation, or part of their conversation, was listened in on by the Invisible Woman. As Nightcrawler says, they can be invisible anytime. And I think Magneto uses metal to... what it looks like to me is he's trying to find the invisible people by spreading something out. That's what it looked like to me. If that's not what happened, then Terry Dodson did a bad job of his artwork, but I think that's what happened. However, the thing is, the whole conversation was actually pretty peaceful. They were talking about what about the FF. They were talking like Scott was talking about, I'm a father and I'm concerned. It was actually a reasonable conversation. If you were listening in on this whole thing, then Fantastic Four, you would have probably realized, first of all, they're not on this island, and second of all, the intentions of the X-Men isn't to kidnap Franklin. They're not these bad guys. So I got to give my guys an excuse. The only thing that the last thing I think that, okay, the Thing says, this is for calling me brute, which means the last thing that they heard, or the earliest thing that they heard, was probably the line Magneto said about, we're a nation of mutants. This island is the most powerful place on Earth. We do not need a plan for a man who throws fire or a rock-studded brute. That's probably when they walked in. Because if they were to walk in before that, then there's no excusing the FF. But since I like the FF and think they're heroes, that's probably the point where they walked in. Okay? FF or not, because if they came in before that, maybe they did come in before that. Like they know where to go, right? After this fight is over. So they did come in before that. What am I talking about? Yeah, they saw the coordinates on the map. There's no defending the FF. It's a pretty basic fight. We get an optic blast that takes out Sue. It's worth noting that a man just hit a woman in a comic book with their powers. Not physically hit, but whatever. We get to that very. Let's get back to the fight. Now, everything is pretty basic until this moment when all the X-Men show up. That's exactly what Magneto was talking about. This is the most dangerous place on Earth to invade. What were you thinking? And they got telepaths. Now here's what Chip Zdarsky does. This is where he says, I'm a cut above. They go into this mission wearing suits that can protect themselves from psychic blasts. And they'll use that completely to their advantage because when Sue gets knocked out, man, that helmet gets opened. Why? To allow Emma to go, oh, an opening. Yes. Reed was just trying to get a jump start on that vehicle because when you woke her up, before you could make Sue do anything violent, he closes it back up. And all of a sudden, all that we got was an awakened Sue. And now that she's angry, she just... Oh, what does that guy do? What does Pain from Naruto? She does one of those moves. And all the mutants go flying. Okay. I love the way Chip Zdarsky's writing this comic. Fast forward over to the other island. They're going to the island of Doom. But fast forward over to the mutants. Kate and these guys. I made an agreement with Dr. Doom, she says. Why are we trusting this villain again? Why? Because of something he did with Fantastic Four and the X-Men that from years ago. He's probably the reason why you, Kate, cannot enter Krakoa. That's probably how we're going to end this story. He's going to fix Franklin. Maybe because he knows what's wrong with her. He's not going to fix Franklin. Why are we trusting this guy? He's still holding a grudge over Secret Wars. He's still holding a grudge over the history of... He's Dr. Doom. What are we doing trusting Doom? Kidnapping you. You going to trust the guy who kidnapped you? That's a bad call. I want these mutants, Ororo, I want Pyro, I want all of them to smack some sense into Kate. Because that... Oh, Lockheed is here too. Continuity, man. Whatever's happening in Marauders probably happens before this story. And Dr. Doom is making Doom bot Sentinels. What makes a Sentinel a Sentinel? Comment section. Comment section 2 questions before I talk about Sentinels. There's a little note here where Franklin is talking and the editor's note says, this is what happened. This is what Reed did to him in the book Fantastic Four Yancey Street #1. I didn't read that. Nice try to get me to read that. But if someone did read that and is watching this video, please tell me what he's exactly referring to. Why the editor said to read Fantastic Four Yancey Street. And then next thing with these Doombots, I don't know what makes a Doombot, what makes a Sentinel a Sentinel. Like, it's the purpose of it is to attack mutants. So the fact that these Doombots are just bigger, I mean, they're Doombots. Should I give it any more validity, or should I be more afraid that these Doombots are actually Sentinels rather than they're just your typical Doombots but larger? That's a question I ask out of curiosity. That is a second book that goes down as great. Chip Zdarsky is batting 1,000. I keep it 1,000 on this channel. I liked this comic book a lot. Terry Dodson's artwork was hot. And his wife, Rachel, is that her name? The inker, Rachel Dodson, was also good. Chillmonger out.